Elite BSC. So I'm going to go over something today. I want to talk a little bit about bidding on jobs, and we have done bidding and estimating workshops. And what I wanted to share today is something I shared really a long time ago. It's one of the first things that I shared, but I think it's maybe helpful to circle back around and look at it again. And I'll be sending out a copy of the spreadsheet as well. But bidding and estimating in our industry is a lot like bidding and estimating somewhere else. And it's really pretty simple, to be honest. And we really only have a handful of expenses, and really only one of those is the big expense. So our big expense, as we all know, is labor, which accounts often for 50% or so of our total costs. And then other labor-related costs like insurance and taxes, etc., end up being another 5 or 10% many times. And then we have supplies and equipment, and then our overhead and profit margin is at the end of that. And so really labor and overhead and profit are two big numbers, and the ones that, as you're putting a bid together, require the most care. So the two things, and I'll say a couple things about each one is, first off, labor. And so you see on this spreadsheet here, and I've got some notes in here. So as you use this spreadsheet, you'll be able to see I've got the little red triangles here. We'll show you. I've got a few notes about what each cell means and how it relates to the others. There's a few formulas in here. But essentially what we're doing is we're trying to calculate the total number of hours that are going to be worked on the job. And I do this in a per year category. So 24 hours is 3 full-time cleaners. So you got a team lead, cleaner 1, cleaner 2, 80 hours a year, 2,080 hours a year as a full-time worker. And that's a clean rate of 4,100 square feet an hour. And so the hardest part, I guess, of the bidding process is calculating the amount of hours. So there's a question, how do we do that? What's the best way to do that? And there's really, there's a couple of ways to do that. You can actually go in and do time studies on your own team and see how fast do we vacuum and how fast we empty trash. I think that's tedious and is probably not super helpful, nor is it practical for most people. There are bidding software packages out there and industry time standards, and that's sort of the way that I got started doing this. But at the end of the day, I think what is the best way and the easiest way is to look at facilities similar to the one you're bidding on that you already do and have experience doing, and look at your production rate at those facilities, and then apply a similar production rate to the job that you're working on. So that totals up, you add in your vacation time, and you've got your total hours per year, and you multiply these two across, and you get your cost all the way down. And so there's your labor-related costs, direct labor, and then you've got your payroll-related expenses. So on down below that is going to be your supplies and equipment. You can see this is really minimal in comparison to the whole. It's usually going to be in the 2 to 5% range of the total price, unless there's some oddball stuff going on. And then the next big line item is going to be your overhead and margin. And so on this one, I think the best way to do this is the way that I think about it, is we want to bid to get the job. And there are going to be some margins that are going to be a bit too low for us, and if we feel like, hey, we got to get too low in order to get this job. But we're looking for, in terms of markup, okay, which is different than margin, is we're looking for maybe 20 to 25% markup on our big jobs, which may give us 18 to 23, 24%, depending on how that job goes. And then for our medium, smaller jobs, we're looking at 30, 35% markup over the costs. So at the end of the day, big jobs, we're looking to make 20% margin at least, and smaller jobs, we're looking to make 25, 30% margin on those. And so we're really bidding to the account. And so some accounts may require less, some more. We don't have such a fixed overhead number that we require it to be built into every job. We're looking at a job on its own, and is this job worth taking at X amount of profit? And that's how we figure that in. You've also heard me say as well, we typically like to leave off project work because we want to keep the price as small or minimal as possible for that job, and then sell those things on the back end. We want to get the business and be under contract and then be able to pick up that other business later on. So I'm going to send this spreadsheet over as well. If you guys have any questions about this, I've sent it before. It's one of the very first things that I created for the group back in the day, and I think you'll find it helpful. It's something I would still use. Our spreadsheets might be a little bit more complex now if the job gets big, but as a general rule, this is the breakdown, and it's not complicated, and it's something you can use every time you bid. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, and we'll talk to you soon.